Okay, so the laggard is live. I'm just gonna close a couple of windows until people join. And I'm going to show you a beautiful banner. I'm just learning to use this streaming app. So this thing is live on Twitter, so Periscope, I guess, and on LinkedIn. So I'm just gonna let someone know that I'm online because I'm going to invite people to this live stream to ask questions. I have a couple of things I wrote down last night that I want to talk about that I also mentioned in the post I made on LinkedIn. But I'd love to have people's questions and to answer people's questions. Looks like it's showing that I'm live. I'm just going to go on LinkedIn because I don't have any comments in here. I only have comments on Periscope, I guess. So I'm just going to go to my profile on LinkedIn because there's no other way. And hey, Monica, long time no see. Wow, it's been a long time since I've seen your profile. Hey, Vlad, Christina. Okay, so there are a couple of people already joining here. That's good. Let's have a sip of coffee. I actually started this stream later because I don't know how I do it, but in the evening I somehow go for too long without going to bed, and then I can't. And so I go to bed at around 1 a.m., 1:30, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And so it's hard to wake up in the morning. And I did wake up properly this morning, but then the coffees and everything. So I don't know if this is still hot. I'm just going to open the cap and try to drink. Oh, I'm sorry for this noise. And try to drink from it like this because I think it's safer. See my glasses? Foggy. Oh, that's good. And I can drink from it like this. It won't burn. The milk I put in it was cold, so there's that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to check one more time. I'm actually also going to check Twitter to see if it's saying something about me being live or if it's being a douche. I don't know. One thing. Is this thing recording? I think it's not recording. I wanted to record the video and post it online afterwards, but I don't know. Doesn't work. Let's see. Let's see if I can get on the live stream. Oh no, I can. I'm getting on my live stream. I'm just trying to find a way to look at comments without having to peer at my phone every time, but without joining the actual stream. The problem is that I can't do that. So LinkedIn is basically limiting me to this. So I don't know if I'm live on Periscope. I hope I am. And I hope I am on Twitter as well, because Twitter uses Periscope. Anyway, screw that. LinkedIn is far more important. So let's see. I'm curious if someone asks a question. Monica, what about the ladder behind me? That's my clothes hanger. It's intentionally left there. I use it when when I painted the whole thing. I don't know if you can see, and I can't actually turn this around right now, but this half is white, not half, like 3/4 of the room is white, and the other quarter of the room is black, and that's because I also want to do video, and it's a hue. Is it correct to say hue? It's a black that absorbs light, so it's non-reflective, so that I don't get like from my video screen, my video lights, which are over there, so that I don't get any, well, let's call it feedback, right? So the light does not bounce off the walls and creates those weird spots like the ones that are right now on my face, because I have a huge window right in front of me. So if I turn, like, see, there's decent amount of light. That's because I have like a window that's bigger than what this camera can capture. It's actually, yeah, it's actually the size of the space between the ladder and the end of the small storage thingies I got from IKEA over there. So yeah, that's why. So I had that when I renovated, when I painted the space, and I kept it around because I kind of like it, and it basically says work in progress, and that's what I am as an individual. I'm always work in progress, and I'm always doing something that's work in progress. It's there's a saying: stop starting, start finishing. I'm still struggling with the last part. Okay, let's see. Good morning, Fabian. Yeah, nice to have you here. Fabian, in the comments here, he's one of the people who had jobs on We Remote, and he's quite a nice guy. So if you're looking for people to do ops things for you, DevOps infrastructure, I bet you'll have an amazing collaboration with him. And I'm not trying to sell him or anything. I just liked his approach and his communication style. Get another monitor. See the comments? No, Christina. So I'm gonna end the banter here and get straight to the topics of the live. I'm just gonna answer this. It's not about the fact that I don't have space to see it, because I also have an iPad I could use. This screen is 32 inches, something like that. It's big. It's quite big. It's I don't know how to. It's this big. Big. It's big. The thing is that LinkedIn doesn't show the comments in the streaming platform I use, which is StreamYard. And I don't know, they haven't implemented it yet. And if I want to look at the comments on the LinkedIn website, I automatically watch my own live, and I don't want to endanger my network by consuming my stream. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So that's my complaint. But fortunately, in the mobile app, I can read the comments without issues. Okay. Cool. So I have banners here. See, I'm gonna switch them. I can do this, right? And if you want to share this, I'd love it. This is something that I see a lot of streamers do. I'm not a streamer, but to get more reach, what they do is they ask this thing, like, take a screenshot of this, of my mug, whatever, and share it on whichever platform you're using with a certain hashtag, and that's it. So I don't care about my mug. It's just, I do care about reach, and I do care about people learning and hopefully benefiting from what I say, because I sometimes hate myself for not being able to share that much And this is one of the reasons I want to have a product which hopefully will make money, but won't mean that I have to sell my time for money. And it's exactly like the progression of personal projects and then financial freedom rat race, which is a rat race, and you'll see why. But first and foremost, I'm going to go into personal projects, and this is mostly because I am a champion of actually starting personal projects or thinking about starting. I am more or less that type of person who buys domain names whenever they think about some business project idea, and then somehow lets them die off in, I don't know, Namecheap or wherever I buy them from. These days it's actually Namecheap. And I think for Romanian domains I use Rowhost, something like that. The thing is that one of the biggest benefits of having personal projects, at least for me, was honing my existing skills and getting new skills, acquiring new skills. So, for example, when I had a couple of failed projects, products, whatever you want to call them, and one of them was this web application that would delete your tweets or some of your tweets 24 hours after being published. And that was mostly so you could share whatever you thought was funny, but still keep a clean Twitter timeline for when others look at it. So, for example, if you're a consultant and let's say you love the Gollum J. Trump Twitter handle, I'm gonna put it here. I think it's exactly this, Gollum J. Trump. It's on Twitter. I'm just going to verify so that I can. I'm taking you. No, let me. It's not that. Just a moment. It's at real Gollum Trump. And I had a lot of fun reading tweets on that channel, mostly because I was a Lord of the Rings fan. Anyway, the thing is that you might like the tweets over here, but you might also have business relationships with people in the US who are Trump fans. And although I don't care that much about politics, or at least US politics, and not in the way that someone in the US would care, you might not want to, I don't know, lose a contract just because you shared this tweet last year about Trump and someone is looking at it, because people are verifying social media profiles these days, and you would be silly to think that you just posted something funny and it's not going to affect you. Just a moment. I'm sorry, but there was something wrong with my throat. Maybe I need more coffee. Cool. So I'm going to finish this personal projects thing, and then I'm going to look at your comments. So I worked on this web application, which cleaned your Twitter timeline. But the problem was that I didn't market it. So I worked for 6 months. I went through two redesigns. One design, because I designed it, which was basically doing a weird, ugly looking knockoff of something I saw on Dribbble. And then I went through two redesigns. And I never marketed this. And after 6 months, when I launched it, we had only 2 users, me and a friend, an ex-coworker. And The thing is that from a business perspective and from a time wasted perspective, that project was a huge time suck for me and an energy. Like it really consumed a lot of my energy. But from the perspective of being able to learn new things. For example, that project had AWS Lambda, which I've never worked with before, although I knew them and I knew the technology. It had infrastructure like some of my clients who are making hundreds of thousands of euros, if not more, they did not have, at least until I came on board. They were like, had their dev environment on a server which was behind a plant in the office, and everyone was like, we're working there, that's dev. And I was like, what the fuck was that? let me put you all on Docker. And then I gradually went and moved them to Docker in production, and we started using load balancers and stuff like that. And so ephemerally, the application I'm talking about had that. And this is where I'm trying to get with this, is that you might build something that's not successful, but you might learn a ton of things. So one of the most important things about personal projects is that they help you hone existing skills and expand your skill set. And you know what's funny? This is actually the perfect time to acquire new skills, because everything is not grinding to a screeching halt, just like a lot of people are saying, at least not in all industries, but everything's slowed down. So if we were going like this right now, it's like really like it's really slowing down. So this is when you can set an hour or two aside each day to acquire a new skill. And yeah, just don't go the same route I went on and buy a lot of domains. Whenever, like, I wanted to create a mastermind group for myself. And so I bought innercircle.ro, and I think I bought about 3 domains then. Nothing's up. I wanted to do, and these are actually, some of them are actually valid ideas. Like, you can take them and do them. I'm actually thinking about creating a list and putting it on WeRemote, like startup ideas or something like that. I wanted to sell web applications with backend and infrastructure. So the way people sell templates, think of Creative Tim, for example. It's creative-tim.com, I think. The way they sell templates, design kits, that's how I wanted to sell backend stuff, web applications with Node.js APIs and stuff like that. Like, you wanted to start an app with authentication and role-based authentication and a user's admin and I don't know, on MongoDB, Node.js and MongoDB with an AWS setup, you can buy it, right? And then you'll save your team a lot of discussions and debates around what technologies to use and stuff like that. Cool. So this is why personal projects are important. And again, I need to mention this. Please don't impulse buy domains and domain names and just let them rot there. That's wasted money. I'm going to check the comments and then I will move on. Let's see. And I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Wakes me up. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Fabian, now I see your comment. So you own 500 domains. I thought I was a compulsive domain buyer. I think I own about 10 right now. along with the useful ones, like with weremote.eu, which I actually renewed yesterday or the day before. Okay, so there are no people with questions. I know. So I think I'm going to go through the trap of financial freedom and the self-development rat race. And then I'm going to have Vlad Radulescu, who wanted to join and ask a question in person here. I'm going to have him join, and he's going to ask his question. So the trap of financial freedom. This is something I'm struggling with, and it's not the cliche financial freedom that you might. I'm actually going to switch. Yeah, I'm switching this thing over here to say financial freedom rat race. Yeah, I think I mixed them. I'm just gonna edit them right now because I don't have anyone to handle this for me. So it's the trap. The trap of financial freedom. If I could only type, that would be good. Okay. And then there's this. I'm going to go quickly through these because there's not a lot to say. I just wanted to tell you that I have been in this rat race of financial freedom, and it's not the like the classical things you see about invest in real estate and do this and do that. I don't care about that right now, but it's this chase of having something that's, as I said in the beginning, owning something, running something that is making you money with, let's say, and not requiring 100% of your time for that money. So, for example, right now, as an employee of a company, you're selling your time for money, right? That's it. 8 hours a day or whatever that company or that job is requiring from you, you're selling that for money. When you move on to freelancing, most of the time you're doing the same thing. The only problem is that right now you also have to do, when you become a freelancer, you also have to do business development and marketing and make yourself known and keep relationships and, sell yourself. So you might be making more money, but you're also putting in more effort. And a lot of people just stay there. And the problem is that you're comfortable right now because you're 25, 26, 28, and you're making money and you're visiting the world. I know all these people, even my wife sometimes like threw this at me that look, people are visiting the world, and yeah, they're visiting the world right now, but when they're 35 and they're still selling their time for money, and they're not going to get that many job offers on LinkedIn. So for example, to me right now on LinkedIn, I don't get messages like, hey Adrian, would you like a new opportunity? No, it's either people asking me for a job, which is, I have a job platform, so it's normal, or it's just people telling me like how they like my content and asking for advice and stuff like that. I don't get job offers, and I think that there are many reasons why I don't get job offers anymore, and one of them is that because my CV is getting a little bit longer and it says CTO over there, even if when you're the CTO of a startup with 3 people, you're actually the software developer. But because of that experience, people know that I'm going to ask a lot more money than whatever they could find on the web, and so they don't bother sending me messages and emails. And secondly, it's because I'm probably, I mean, like, I'm looking from their point of view. Like, he's probably 30 some, he's over 30, and people, when they pass a certain age, they have a different price because of experience, because of a host of other things. And it's also harder to mold them to your liking, right? Because if you're 33 and you haven't defined, and you've been working since your 20s, your early 20s, and you haven't defined a style, let's say a style of your own. It's not the correct term, but if you haven't defined yourself as a professional, then I think there's a problem with you. And so most people working from their early 20s, when they're in their 30s, like I'm 33 right now, they're harder to change, or at least they're perceived as harder to change. I'm actually quite flexible, but you need the arguments to make me bend, right? To bend me. And I'm not talking about that kind of bending. It's bending opinions, right? So to circle back, right? It's selling it, like consulting, contracting is selling your time for money. Actually, consulting is more advanced, but contracting is selling your time for money, but with a host of other responsibilities that you wouldn't normally want, or you would normally have as an employee. You're just an employee without the benefits, but with more responsibilities. And many people get stuck there. And when they're 35 and nobody's looking for them, they'll be like, oh, the IT industry is broken. No, it's not broken. You're broken because you had your time, you had your run from 25 to 35, contracting, freelancing, and just throwing away money and being a digital nomad. And now, when business becomes harder and you haven't spent your time building a personal brand, well, too bad, bucko. So the thing is that with this financial freedom thing, you need to try to move, at least from my perspective, at least how I do it, I want to try to move away from being the person executing all the work to a position where I am the person defining the work. Right now, I am defining and executing for myself, and in collaboration with my good buddy and co-founder Chris, which is huge. Like, if you plan on doing something, this is I'm just riffing off right now, but if you plan on doing something, any type of project, startup, whatever, try to get a co-founder, get someone who has complementary skills to yours, and get them on board. 50% of something is always more than 100% of nothing, because if you go all by yourself and you build something, you have to market it, sell it, do this, do that. It's hard. Like, I can see with a somewhat simple project from my perspective as we remote, there are a lot of things that need to get done, and I'm finding it hard, although I know what to do, but I'm finding it hard not to let things slip and not to drop some balls while I'm juggling. But get a co-founder. That's really, really, really important. And you gotta walk the walk. I don't know how to put it, but it doesn't work like this unless it's something like crypto or whatever, the new wave of something that you're an early adopter of, right? And that suddenly grows. And I'm talking about crypto because I'm scanning the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain right now. And the first, I don't know, there are 600,000 blocks or something like that. And in the first 400,000, there are like 7 million transactions. And then in the last blocks, there are like all the other transactions up until 500 millions. So that's like the growth curve is really, really, really steep, the cliff actually. So unless you're on a trend like that, unless you catch on to this and you're an early adopter, you just have to go through all the steps or most of the steps that people before you doing business went through. So you can't sidestep marketing, you can't sidestep sales unless you have this weird niche where just it's a what fishermen call feeding frenzy, where you just throw some bait in the water and all the fish is in there just waiting. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm actually, I should be, like, from my perspective, I should be more forgiving with myself, because I'm really ambitious, and I want to get everything done and everything right and everything fast, and everyone should be satisfied, and that's not possible. But it's hard to remember these things when you're under pressure. I'm just gonna look at the comments again, and we'll see. Then we'll move on to the rat race. Financial preserve post-mortem reductionist fetishes. I'm just going to read this out loud because it's amazing. Financial freedom is the absurd post-mortem reductionist fetishization of an age-old fantasy to be king and to have servants shielding you from the vicissitudes of the world. Yes, sir. And this is why I mentioned that the financial freedom I am talking about is not exactly the financial freedom thing that you read about in books. So I'm not looking to not work and have money. Like, I couldn't, literally, I could not stop working. I would go crazy. I can't go on a vacation, like, really, really, honestly, 100%. I cannot go on a vacation without some technology with me, without something to do. I have to read, I have to do something. And when I come back home, like, I am in the office right now, and the reason I am in the office is because it's 600 meters away from my home, and it's this room where I can just lock myself and I don't have contact. There aren't a lot of people over here. So, but I wanted to come here because it feels more like work than when I'm at home and I have a stand-up desk, and my back was killing me. Like, my butt was taking the shape of the chair from sitting so long at home. So where I'm trying to get at is that I could not see myself not being involved in some type of activity that resembles, and not to me, that is categorized as work. I want to work. So if your idea, whoever's watching this, is that you will create something that's just gonna run for you and make you money, that's not, it doesn't happen. If it happens, that's to me, at least from my perspective, it's an exception. It's not the rule. Let me see. But thanks, Bogdan. That was a really thorough and nice way of saying that financial freedom is stupid and it's a cliche, especially the way it's presented right now. And I know a couple of people in Romania who are basically taking this concept from the US, which worked years ago, and they're just parroting out. And one of them looks a little bit like me with the glasses and everything. So it's not only a cliche, but financial freedom is an oxymoron. Oxymoron. Finance is defined by the interdependence to others. After all, money and gold without human capital are worthless to the individual. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are right. I'm going to post them. Fabian, you used to work for a domain registrar. Me too. I worked for a whole year for 1&1. You might know them because they're German, and I know you live in Germany, and so you might know them. They're called right now 1&1 Ionos or something like that. So let's see. Do we have quick one? For you, what means to be free? Because we all are dependent on one another, and adding freedom to financial part, does this mean you change only the part where you choose where to sell your time? It's basically what Bogdan said, George, what Bogdan Bokshe said about financial freedom being an oxymoron. And you're right. So to me, at least, financial freedom, the way I perceive it, is a way in which I can amplify. Who's calling? Someone was calling me. A way in which I can amplify the in which I can amplify the impact and the result of my work, and the how do I put it? Let me gather my thoughts. The phone was distracting me, and I think it's a delivery person, and I fucking hate them. I'm just going off on a rant right now, but I fucking hate delivery people who just call you like, "Hey, you're home. I want to deliver you your shit." Call me 1 hour before. Make sure I'm there. Don't send me a message. Where's the automated system message? Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. I'm sorry. Right. So back to the financial freedom thing. For me, being I actually want financial security, not financial freedom. So basically, I want to be able to replicate my effort, the effort that I'm putting right now into We Remote, which was effort that I was putting before into client projects. I want to be able to replicate that and create a model that would continuously generate revenue with not a lot of intervention from me. And when I say not a lot, I don't mean like with 10% intervention, although that would be amazing, but around 50% intervention. So if I can work with my tools and perfect them as much as I can, so that I would work 50% of the time, or to flip it on its head, if I can deliver something in half the time, right? I could work 8 hours, but if I can deliver 2 projects instead of 1, that's also a way to be financially secured, because all of a sudden you can charge the same rate for something that's delivered in a shorter time. And you should be charging the same rate, because time to market is very important right now. And this is something that you need to make your future clients aware. And I've actually had a lot of people telling me that, hey, I cannot convince people that they should pay me this amount of money. And I'm like, well, ask them how bad do they want to get to market? How bad do they want it? And if they want it badly, then you have an argument to justify why they should pay you the same amount. And then give them instead of just giving them the explanation that, well, you're paying me to do this in 20 minutes, but I spent 6 months perfecting this. Just as the same, like for example, I use We Remote as a platform for client projects. I've developed it with Chris in such a way that we can use it on client projects. And right now we can deliver an app with marketing site, with user accounts, with being the ability to publish items on that site, no matter how they're presented, right? I can deliver it in like 2 weeks and like fully functional. And I think I can also slip in actual core, and I can focus and slip in core business features for that specific client and for that specific project. But you need to remember that We Remote, it's turning, I think it's going to be 1 year old in like 4 days, something like that. So it took me, I think, about 8 months to build it by myself. And then whatever I did with Chris in the last 4 months. So yeah, I can like you can sell it like that, but that should not be your sole selling point. Like, hey, I did this in 1 year and now I'm able to do it for you in 2 weeks. They don't care about that. You need to correlate that with the value they get, which is I'm giving it to you in 2 weeks instead of spending 6 months like a regular team would. And you have time to focus on core business. We won't waste time debating whether the user should have a first name and last name properties or a full name. It's already there and it works. I'm going to check the comments one last time, and then I'm going to move to self-development. And I want to this is something I want to raise awareness of, because I see a lot of this right now, and it's a time when people are vulnerable, and I don't want people spending their hard-earned money on shit. So just let me see if there is a question over here. Let's see. Good resources for finding technical. So Fabian is asking me if I have good resources for finding technical co-founders. I'm just going to go with the general advice. Go with people you know, if you've worked with them before. Don't go with friends unless you know like their technical ability. I mean, they have to be sound, and not only from a technical perspective, but also from self-management perspective, because if they can't separate or you can separate friendship and this type of relationship from a business relationship, then you won't be able to work. And make sure you rely on tools for anything reporting wise. So for example, we use Basecamp, and we have a lot of automatic check-ins which ask us like, what are you working on this week? What are you working on today? What have you been working on today? Stuff like that, so that we know what each other is doing, but we don't become I don't want to come off to Chris as being or as acting as his boss. Like, hey, what are you working on today? I'm not, because I'm not interested in learning what he's working on from that perspective. I'm interested in what he's working on so that I can prioritize my work, because he may be working on something that's like a production bug, but he may not feel like doing it today, so I can take over. So if he says like, I'm not working today, I can jump in and say like, hey, yo, we gotta finish that. Can I take over? And that will be the end of the conversation. Compare that to, hey, Chris, what are you doing today? Are you working? Are you working? What are you working on? What have you been doing today? What's your progress? Where are we at? You know, the usual manager talk that everyone hates. So if you're going to bring someone who's a close friend, a close person to you, make sure you rely on tools for this type of communication, so that, and you want to make sure you also pay attention to the way you communicate things, so that they don't feel like they're under you in some way. And you also want to make sure that they do the same thing, because you might understand the fact that they have a certain style of communication, but there will be that one time when they're going to say something and you'll be on the edge and you'll blow up and you'll say shit you don't want to say. And I am that kind of explosive person. So at least in that regard, like, I know I'm conscious of that, but Chris is my exact opposite. Like, he's like, you know, when you drop a pebble in a lake and it makes waves, he's the fucking lake that does not make waves. He's like, and it's like that. It just stays like that. Doesn't do anything. Swallows the pebble. Doesn't do anything. And then we can go and talk. And like, he knows me and I know him, and that's it's a huge advantage. Like, if someone would ask me what's my biggest asset right now with We Remote, that would be Chris, because of the way he is and the way he carries himself. And I love the guy. Like, we've known each other for years, and We've worked with the same tech. We work kind of in the same way, so I don't have to go and look at code and be like, what the hell is this? It's basically almost my code. So it's good to clone yourself sometimes, at least certain aspects. I'm just going to drop the comments for a bit to talk about the self-development rat race, and I'm going to enable this. I love this app. Like, it allows you to put points, and it's like a PowerPoint, but the way I like it. Like, I hate, on a side note, I hate when I go to conferences or webinars or whatever, and all I see is like slides full of text and content, and the presenter is basically reading out the slides, and like I am something like, so what am I doing? Am I paying attention to you, or am I paying attention to the slides? Motherfucker, I can read. You just leave them there and just scroll them when I tell you. And so this is why I like this app. Actually, StreamYard, it's called StreamYard, and I paid for it last night. Let's have a sip of coffee. I paid for it last night because I wanted to be able to stream to 2 destinations simultaneously, although I would have wanted to also stream to Facebook, but that's not possible. I mean, it is, but it costs a little bit more, and I don't want to spend a lot of money right now because I ain't got none. Cool. So, self-development rat race. Just pay attention. This is, it's going to be short. There's a lot of snake oil being sold right now. People are very vulnerable because they lost their jobs, or they're in danger of losing their jobs, or they're actually afraid for no reason about losing their jobs. They are in lockdown with their kids, with their wife, with their significant other, with their mother, whoever, and they're frustrated, and like the TV and the media keep peddling this financial downturn, financial crisis mantra, and this content is being circulated, and so it creates fear in people. And I have noticed, because I've been studying self-development literature for myself, and I've also been studying literature on self-development literature, and the biggest points where self-development actually blew up were in times of crisis. So it's either in the 20s, when there was a huge financial downturn, which destroyed a lot of the the big US industries, but built other types of rich people, their nouveau riche. Then it was something in the, I think, after the hippie movement. Then, like, there was always an event which created turmoil in huge parts of the population, and more recently, like after the financial crisis of 2008, well, that blew up again. Like the self-help, self-development current, or whatever, I don't know how to call it, trend blew up because a lot of people were tricked into this, how do I put it, into this, it's not a mantra. They were tricked into believing that, well, if financial crisis happens, you need to have your own business, you need to think like a winner, you need to be charismatic, you need to whatever the author was selling. So instead of teaching people basic economics and how to save and how to invest, they kind of took them on a different path. And there are tons of courses, ads to courses of all kinds appearing right now. And another reason for that is that I learned that Facebook CPM went down. Its cost per thousand views or something like that. The idea is that there's more room on Facebook right now to advertise because a lot of companies forfeited, they went bankrupt, and or they cut their marketing budgets and stuff like that. And now if you spend money on ads on Facebook, you'll have a far better reach and more chances for your ads to be displayed. And so everyone's teaching marketing these days. Everyone is teaching Amazon courses. Like, think of it like this: if you go and learn how to sell on Amazon, let's say there's a huge financial crisis waiting, lurking. Do you think people are going to buy from Amazon like crazy? You're going to spend your money and you're going to do nothing with that course. And it's the problem is that they're paying, like, you end up paying for these courses with your hard-earned money, or even worse, you take this on your credit card and you have to pay, I don't know, you have high interest rate or something like that. And nobody's thinking about this. The self-development gurus aren't thinking about this. They're thinking about their own bottom line. And I understand it's business, but you cannot, I think this is a predatory attitude towards people, and I hate it. And that was it on the self-development thing. Just pay attention to the types of courses, books you are bombarded with. Like, be aware of the ads that are being shown to you on Facebook and on the web, because many of them are meant to trick you, and they're not even going to give you actionable advice or things that you can use right now. You'll have to go through, it's like a funnel, right? They hook you in with the cheap self-development course, and then they sell you the book because it's complementary to the course, but you need the mastermind actually, or the private consulting group to actually make money. And so that's kind of shit, in my opinion. So don't throw away your hard-earned money. Good. I'm going to check the comments one last time. And actually, I think I can sort them by most recent. Wow. I'm not scrolling like crazy. Good. How to deal with business knowledge, for example. No, Vlad, you're going to ask this live. So I'm going to actually be skipping the startup ideas thing I wanted to talk about. It's simple. I'm just going to make a page on weremote.eu in the following week. I think post-Easter, so in the week after Easter. And I will list like any crazy business idea that I can come up with. I'll list it there. So if you want to try building a startup, you can just, if you feel like this is a good way to go, you can go there, pick an idea and work on it. So let's have a conversation here. Let me invite Vlad, who wanted to ask a question live. So I'm going to send him a message here. Okay. I'm just texting him right now on LinkedIn, because that's how he reached out. I was thinking yesterday that I would just use the free version of StreamYard, and then to invite people, I would have to have a Zoom session started. But it turns out I don't have to. Although one of the nicest things about Zoom is that it allows you to share your iPad screen. And I would gladly look for a way to do that without Zoom, because in the future, I want to use my iPad during live videos and basically show you like things like this, but without having to have an overhead camera and film myself while doing it. And I'm actually preparing the transition from this, which is almost done, to this, I bought, I think, a pack of 6, something like that, and I'm going to write on them. There's something actually really funny about note taking. I started taking only my 2 big pens with me. These things, because I hate it when like using my fountain pens and all that makes me hate the fact that I spend that much money on such expensive gear when I shouldn't have. I do believe that you need things that excite you and make you want to use them. So that's why I own a MacBook. That's why I have this mic and not some other cheap version, or that's why I use an iPhone. But that's not that's not true for everything. Like for fountain pens, I just need something to write. I like the idea is far more important than the pen I'm using. Let's see. So I think Vlad is saying something. Oh, okay. So no problem. Okay, so because I started later, Vlad has a meeting at 11 a.m., so he cannot join. So I'm just going to answer the questions directly from the comments. Let's see. Oh my God. Don't you just hate it when filters reset? So when I use the Twitter timeline, I always set it on latest, show me the latest tweets, and in a couple of days it resets and it shows me whatever it thinks it's relevant for me. Same with LinkedIn comments. I say show me the most recent comments first. I leave the post. I come back. It's most relevant. Screw you. Who are you to say what is relevant and what is not to me? So Vlad posted a question in the comments. He's asking, how do you deal with business knowledge? For example, you want to build an HR mobile app. You know the development process, but you lack many concepts in HR industry. Vlad, if you want to do this, I know someone who wants to build an HR mobile app, and she's an HR manager. She has an HR company, and she lacks many of the concepts in the IT industry. So let me know, ping me, send me a comment here, just say yes, connect me with that person or something like that, and I will connect you to her. Because I met her 3 weeks ago or something like that. We knew each other online, but we never chatted. And she told me about her application. Maybe you can do something together. It's the same what I said about co-founders. It's always 50% of something is more than 100% of nothing. So it's I think it's a good opportunity for you. For both of you, so let me know if you want me to link you up. Is there something here on Twitter? No, it's not. But this is rather weird because I cannot see my Twitter live. That's funny. That is funny. So let's see. I have a couple of things I need to talk about. So 10 more minutes and then we'll end this and we'll each go to work. Let's have another sip of coffee before I do this. I'm starting to wake up properly. Although my back is killing me, I should be moving a bit. So we're going to skip startup ideas. It's going to be something that's it's going to be a dedicated page on WeRemote, the podcast. So I mentioned in the previous live that I am doing a podcast for WeRemote. I did it, but I didn't publish it because I was not satisfied with the quality. And I want to tell you that it was because of the environment, because the first time I recorded the episode, I was at home sitting almost like crunched over the desk. It was the cheap desk that I bought from when the lockdown was ensued. It was enabled in Romania as well, and I had I sounded like I had trouble breathing, and that's of course because I would compress my chest cavity, and so the diaphragm would not be able to move. And so I re-recorded the episode here like this, and I'm really excited the way it turned out. I also renamed the podcast. It's something that I do. I rename things, and it sounds a lot better. I can't tell you the name yet because I have to publish it. I created a transistor.fm account to host the podcast. I really love those guys, and I've been following their podcast for a while now. But I can't tell you the name right now. It's just that it has something to do with the mafia. It has something. It has sit down in the name. So sit down. If you don't know, it was. I'm sorry, I hit the mic. Was a term used in The Godfather for when mob bosses and their underbosses were like sitting at a table discussing hits, asking for permission to whack someone and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted. I was just watching The Godfather, and I was like, I should rename the podcast. I love that movie, and so watching it had an impact. But I felt a lot better while recording it. I actually rewrote the outline, and I realized that I was in the first version of the episode, of the first episode, I was actually reading a lot from the notes, which I dislike. Like, for example, this is really free form. I just have a list of bullet points over here so that I don't miss anything important. But other than that, I'm just riffing. So that's it about podcast. I have a couple of questions from the previous live, and then we'll be good to go. So I have one question from Mike Black. So he's asking, what do you think are the ways in which working patterns are going to change after the pandemic? Will it spring back to, I don't know what BAU stands for, but probably it's like office work, or is remote going to go more mainstream? Well, think of it like this. I saw an article in a local newspaper a couple of days ago that eMag, which is the biggest e-commerce shop, retailer, whatever they're called in Romania, realized that they had an increase in productivity when people worked remotely. And so I don't know. I've heard I actually made a video that which I posted on LinkedIn, I think 2 weeks ago, about a conversation I had with someone who was posting some jobs, and I asked her like, hey, are they remote? Because they should have been, because they were IT and we are in a pandemic and lockdown. And she said, no, we're going back to the office once this whole thing is over, because we are working with labor contracts, and we have to go back to the office. Fuck you. So if there are many stupid people like that, or at least people with stupid opinions, because she probably is not stupid, but that's a stupid opinion and a poor understanding of the topic. So if there are many people like that, then they're going to go back to the office. But otherwise, like the small e-commerce companies, whoever is looking at eMag, for example, will question whether they need that big office, or whether they could just keep their employees at home and focus on and improve their employee retention and reduce their onboarding costs and whatnot. Another question from Luke. What is the start point when you open a startup? Do you believe it is the right time after this pandemic passes? I think this is the best time to build a community. So, for example, Chris and I decided that we were planning on monetizing We Remote, and this is because we had a lot of positive feedback from the companies who had jobs on We Remote in terms of the number of applicants compared to other more established platforms, and the quality of the applicants, which is far more important than the number of applicants. Because you could get on LinkedIn, you could get 30 applicants, but only have five suitable. Five that suit the job description and the location and all the constraints, or you could get seven on We Remote and have three or four, but you don't have to spend a lot of time filtering them, right? You can move to interviewing right away, like review the relevant CVs and then move to interviewing. So we decided that we weren't going to monetize the platform, and we were going to introduce a mechanism so that companies could still post for free even if their trial expired, which is like the coupon code Stay Home 100. Just because it's not a time to do that. Like, companies are scaling down, they're cutting down budgets, and I want to have jobs on the platform because I want people to be able to get hired. And we also introduced, for example, a thing that's called a hiring status. So if you go on weremote.eu right now, actually, like, if you have your computer in front of you right now, please go on weremote.eu and click on one of the jobs, and you will see that there's like a green or yellow thing label under the budget. If you're logged in, you see the budget. If not, like up top, you have login to see budget, and then it's either hiring now or passively recruiting. Why? Many companies right now have a lockdown, a freeze on their hiring budgets, but they still want to build the pipeline because those budgets will, like, they will unfreeze the thing. They have to, especially in IT. The digitalization doesn't stop. It will modify, it will transform, but it doesn't stop. And so they still have to build pipelines of valid candidates. And I wanted to avoid companies posting jobs and then when you apply saying like, oh no, we're not actually recruiting for that. It's just there so that we can build a list of people, so that I wouldn't want job seekers waste their time. But at the same time, I wanted to give companies the opportunity to keep their jobs over there and to help people who are proactively applying to know about each other and let each other know that, hey, this is not something that you're going to get a response right away and you're going to get an interview right away. This is something we're doing so that when we unlock the recruiting process, we'll have a list of people already lined up for interviewing. And so our efforts went into this part, which is like keeping jobs on the platform and making the process transparent. And I actually have I have two articles written about the updates we made to the platform, because we made more updates to the platform besides these. And the focus is not on making money, it's on building community, because both people and companies are going to know or are going to remember where they found a job, where they had valid candidates, even if they were not recruiting and stuff like that. So it's not okay to launch a startup right now, because people are just going to look at it and go like, hey, another thing I'm going to have to spend money on. But building community, that's something you need to do. Just a moment, I gotta turn Do Not Disturb on because Basecamp is starting to send messages. Right. Two more questions. Ioana Suchu, she asked, could you please give some advices about how to start a career as a junior developer? I actually talked to Ioana after that live. I called her on WhatsApp. We had an hour-long chat about the things she could do. But starting your career as a junior developer is tough because everyone is trying to hire seniors. So what you can do is pitch companies with and ask them for the opportunity to intern for them. If you still like, you need a way to make money to live, but if you have that, try to intern for a company to learn things. Build projects, always use your skills. If you don't build, that knowledge goes away. I learned a shit ton of marketing in the last 4 years. And when I actually started doing marketing, I realized I didn't know anything. I was actually reviewing my notes yesterday from one of my notebooks. And it was like, where did this all went? Because I'm learning it right now. So if you want to start off as a junior, you already learned some software development, apply to jobs. Always, like, if you're learning right now, if you're learning web development and you're like 3 months in and you feel you got 2 more months to go, start applying to jobs. That's essential because you're going to get some interviews. You're going to see what people want from you. What are their questions? What are they asking of you? Because I've seen a lot of job descriptions where they would want, like, they look like they're hiring a whole dev/operations team, but they only wanted one person for it. But when I talked to them, they just wanted some like weird skill combination out of all that so that you could cover a part of their application of their product properly. And again, I've seen a lot of companies giving algorithm code challenges to people who ultimately end up pushing pixels with jQuery and WordPress installations. And so don't trust the job description fully. Ask, at least ask. And the last question is from Theo Delano. He's asking, what are you afraid of? I am afraid that I won't be alive as much as I would like to, so that I can accomplish everything I set out to accomplish. And one of the problems is that I always find new things to do. So I am afraid of death, not as in the pain or the torment you have to go through when you die, but like the fact that it's getting closer, and I know that I want to do a lot of things, and I want to be able to impact the lives of people in a positive way, and not the change the world, disrupt. We're going to disrupt. I don't know where the fuck are these disruptors right now, because ain't nobody talking about disrupting right now. They're not talking about venture capital. They're just, oh my God, I'm going on such a rant if I'm going to start on the venture capital thing. And I so fucking hate their guts right now, because they're all like, you're back to being poor again. Right. Yeah, I'm mean. I know. I sometimes can be very, very mean and not politically correct at all. So if you're into political correctness, you're in the wrong place. Let's see. I'm just looking for to see if there are any other questions. Where's the water? Which water? My water? If I drink water or what? I have water here. It's just that the glasses are over there, and I did not bother to take one out and put it on the table. I can't wait to end this and drink some water, actually. So everyone had an increase in productivity in this period because there is no more life-work balance. We're stuck inside 12 hours and still. Let's agree to disagree, Alexandru. He's a project manager. He must know something about this, but um, I don't think it's that. I think it's perceived as being a 12-hour workday. What you're actually doing, and I've noticed myself doing as well, is that you're sprinkling work throughout your day and you're mixing it with other activities. But as long as you can like do blocks of work and then do something for yourself and then another block of work and then something for yourself, I don't see that as a problem. And as long as you have overlaps in schedule. Yes, I'm sure that people fall prey to that overwork mentality. I've fallen prey to it time and time again. Most of the times it's been a conscious decision, but um, don't assume that if you spread, like, that's a confusion a lot of people make. If they start work at, I don't know, 9 a.m., let's say, and they finish work at 7 p.m., but they omit the fact that they had a 1 hour and a half lunch, and then they exercise for 40 minutes, and then they did, I don't know what thing, they put their kid to bed, and it turns out you work like 6 hours, but you're probably as productive as you would have been in 8 hours at work. You have to pay attention to that as well. For example, I use an app called Rescue Time, which looks at how many times I pick up my phone, what I use on my phone, what I use on my laptop, and gives me a productivity score. And you could use that to see the impact your work has and the way you spend your time. And if you're really spending 12 hours at your computer, or it's more like 6 or 7. Yeah, well, I guess this is about it. I don't think I promote coffee too much. Oh, wow. Yes, of course I promote coffee. I love coffee. I was kidding, and I'm going to close on this note. I was actually joking with a high school colleague of mine. We used to play volleyball together, and he's right now in, I don't know, what do you call, how do you say gendarmerie in like, what's the English term for them? He's in law enforcement, and he had a photo on his profile with their work car with 2 Starbucks coffees on the lid of the car. And I just wrote to him and I say, hey, do you do home deliveries? Because I was literally, the photo and the event was yesterday, and I was literally swearing in the morning when I was preparing my coffee in the French press. And I was like, oh, damn, I wish I had a coffee shop right now where I could just order a coffee that was made by an espresso machine, because I don't have an espresso machine at home. And so, yes, I do love coffee, and I would love a nicely done coffee right now, actually. This is pretty decent. I usually brew it in a French press, but it's pretty decent. Water is nice, but coffee is nicer. Just the same way as what was that joke? English is important, but big biceps is importanter. So yeah. See, you're talking about the subject of lifestyle. Everyone is talking about being super duper productive, hustle, self-development, especially these days when we are all stuck at home. We forget to take breaks, eat healthy, and move. Yes, you're right. And this is me talking about lifestyle. You're right. If you don't make conscious decisions about like getting up and walking around and exercising and cooking for yourself. Actually, one of the reasons I was late, besides brewing coffee, was that I cooked last night and I forgot to assemble everything and take it with me. So I had to spend time doing that. But yeah, I saw myself getting a little puffy, so I started doing push-ups, and I realized that from 10 push-ups, is that's what I was able to do without a lot of exercise in the past 6 months or so. I am right now confidently doing 35 push-ups, and it's only been like 1 month, something like that. And let's just try to sprinkle in exercise. I'm going to talk about in the next live I'm going to do. I will also approach this topic. Yeah, I'm going to leave you with this thing. If you enjoyed this video, I know it's gotten a little bit longer, and I tend to go off on tangents a lot. But if you enjoyed the video, please share it with your connections. Just on LinkedIn, it's just share and just put a nice comment and share it on your profile. Let me know if you want me to talk about something, because otherwise I will be talking about what I want to talk about. And I'll let you know when I'll do the next one. Probably this time next Wednesday. Yeah, because it's gonna be like after Easter. We're all going to be fat from stuffing our faces with everything on the Easter menu. And so I'll probably see you next Wednesday in the same formula, probably in the same place. Thanks a lot for joining. I really appreciate your time. I know that your time is valuable. Let's get back to work, and let's seem productive, so that our like the business owners and our managers don't ask us to come back to the office when the pandemic ends. I'm out. Bye.